So when it comes to the idea of what the biblical gospel is, it's amazing how the term gospel has been so developed over the last couple of decades that it has expanded to include almost anything that the church wants to pour into it about what we stand for as Christians. I mean, at this point in the development of missiological literature, people are talking about the fact that we are the gospel. I am the gospel. We live the gospel. We embody the gospel. We demonstrate the gospel. And all of this terminology can be referenced in the literature. But to define the gospel in terms of who I am, or in terms of what I do for another person, or in terms of demonstrating the gospel apart from word or proclamation, but in terms of deed, that I can communicate the gospel non-verbally in terms of deed, is entirely problematic. Because how can a person who doesn't understand the gospel grasp the understanding of the gospel apart from using words? I mean, to ask a person to communicate the gospel without words so another person can understand it is almost impossible. So if you use a term that no longer has any center of gravity, that you can pour any meaning into it, that term has lost meaning itself. And we live in a day where the term gospel has lost meaning because it's been so broadened and redefined to include almost anything the church can do, that we've lost the biblical understanding. So I like to go back to how Paul and the early church defined the gospel in 1 Corinthians 15. That the gospel, I mean, Paul, this is not a difficult concept, because Paul defines what the gospel is for us, subsequent to the ministry of Jesus and the Jesus movement in the Gospels and in the book of Acts. He received the gospel. It's not his invention. He received the gospel from the pillars of the church in Jerusalem, Peter, James, and John, that Jesus died, he was buried, that he resurrected, and he appeared to people, and he was ascended into heaven, all for the forgiveness of our sins. And so I try to say, if that is what the biblical gospel is, how can I be the gospel? How can I live the gospel? Now, I may be able to live the implications or the ramifications of what the gospel has done to me personally, but I am not the gospel. I can live the implications of what the gospel has done to transform my life in terms of showing Christian truth or Christian compassion to people. But what I do to other people is not what Jesus has done for me in terms of the gospel. So I can't be the gospel to people. The church doesn't convey the gospel in terms of embodying the gospel. It can proclaim the gospel as the early church did in 1 Corinthians 15. But it's entirely problematic to say that we are the gospel to people.